So here we are at the North Bay Electric Auto Association meeting for November 2025, and let's get going.
That's interesting. I haven't seen this before.
So yeah, on the agenda, we're just going to briefly go over. We're going to welcome and introduce ourselves, go over some chapter business and announcements and events. There will be a presentation a little longer than we thought before on my family's purchase of an Equinox EV and what was involved with all of the significant rebates and grants that were involved in that. We'll have some questions afterwards, and we'll talk about next meeting and have some open discussion. Next slide. So just keep in mind we are continuing with working with all of us as a team to make the meetings efficient. So try to limit your introduction time to just a minute each. I know if it goes over a little bit, that's fine, but the point is to really address the question and not go on to other things. There will be time in the open discussion time to bring up new topics. And then for questions, just we're going to ask that you wait till the end of the group of slides or the presentations when someone asks you for that says that it's time for questions. It really helps presenters, particularly I know when I'm presenting, and I think it was great last time with Lauren. She really appreciated being able to just talk through her presentation and have questions at the end. So that's the way we're going to do it. Okay, so today let's just talk about who we are, our name, and we thought, what's the one favorite thing about your car or your other mode of transportation that just really helps you enjoy traveling. And so I guess I could start. It's easy for me. We do have the truck that Ellen and I converted many years ago in 2009. And I think the favorite thing for me about it that I appreciate is a little bit technical, but because of the way electric motors work, a vehicle that had a clutch originally can now have just a button that disengages power to the motor so that you can shift without using a clutch pedal. And so really it's literally, even though it has a transmission, I can shift and do one pedal driving just with a button on the gear shift. So I love that. Okay, who wants to go next? David, are you able to go?
Am I able? Yeah, I guess so.
Okay.
Everybody knows I'm from Fairfield. I own a 85 Avante that I converted to electric, which has gone through different stages. I think my favorite thing about my car is that it's kind of afforded me an opportunity, like a learning experience, for not only electric vehicles, but also every other thing about repairing and modifying cars. I've been working on the body lately, which is total all fiberglass, but the electronics, as John knows, we've gone back and forth a whole bunch of times trying to get this thing to work right. I think the other thing I like about it is that it really draws a lot of interest. I had a guy over here who's a Studebaker guy the other day, and he wanted to shoot a bunch of pictures of it. So we took it over to a park, and while we're there was a guy kind of sitting on a merry-go-round thing, and he just started talking and asking what the hell it was and got into this long conversation. Well, eventually he left, and I looked at the guy that's been the Studebaker guy, and I said, that's what happens every time I take it someplace. I end up spending 15 minutes talking to people I don't even know. So it's kind of like a magnet. If you have one, I mean, it's kind of fun because he thought it was, I don't know, some kind of foreign car. Nobody knows really what it is half the time. So that's fun. Anyway.
Thanks, David. Jerry, you ready?
Oh, was that for me? Yeah. I'm Jerry. It says so right here on the screen in front of me. I'm sitting here dinking around because I can't get the two Zoom windows to show up on one window. Anyway, I'm driving both my Leaf and my EV6. And the interesting thing for me recently was the Leaf. At 43,000 miles, I'm noticing that it's lost about 8% of its range. So it used to be pretty solid. This is a 2018, pretty solid 160-mile range, doing more like 142, 143 miles, sometimes 150 miles, which is unusual for it. So I was kind of disappointed to see that happen. But that gives me an opportunity to consider that sometime in the future, I might need to get the next generation EV, where at my age, I was thinking maybe I bought the last of my cars.
Okay, thanks. Anybody else ready?
I can go. Oh, go ahead, Sonia. Okay. Hi, I'm Sonia. I have a 2019 Model 3. It's lost 15% of its range, and it's fine. It's running great. It has 205 miles or 203 miles instead of 240, which it should have. And I thought about, why is it losing so much at this point? Is that typical? I thought, well, it's been in 2 accidents, so there could be like little shuffles and jiggles. And I compared kind of the battery health screen to Bernie's new Tesla's battery health screen, which tells you percentage-wise what the health is. And mine just says, it's healthy, it's fine. So it's all good, but I don't have any constraints on myself because, 200 miles is fine. My favorite thing to do right now is to charge while the sun's shining, because it just like kind of has that feeling of kind of feeling like it's working to my benefit. And, Jerry and I've talked about how if you're spinning your meter backward, you could slow that process down. And then you're not paying the transmission fees as well. So it's kind of like, I guess that's a fun thing about retiring, is you can every few days just charge while the sun's shining, like today.
I was thinking you might say that the fun thing about retiring is that you can watch the meter go backwards.
That's fun too.
Yeah. Okay, Ellen, I guess you were going to go.
Yeah, I could go next. Hi, everyone. My name's Ellen. I drive a 2017 Chevy Bolt. And my favorite thing about it, I think, is that it's just really fun to drive. That's what I've come to feel about it. It's very, small and zippy and easy to, do whatever I wanted. It's easy to park. It's easy to get around. Easy to load up with lots of stuff. And I look forward to driving it. So it's just a really fun car. I think that's my favorite thing.
Cool.
Great.
Hey, Linda.
I'll latch onto that because today I was driving it on the freeway, which I always hate because the freeways are badly designed here as opposed to the ones I used to drive on in Southern California. And I was noticing that, I sometimes needed to speed up to avoid something. And it's so nice not to have any gears. The car doesn't do anything. It just goes, whoop. And it's a Chevy Bolt, the newer one, a 2022. I realized I needed to take it into the shop, not because it really needs anything, but I'll never I need to take it in every 7,500 miles to get the tires rotated and it looked at. And I realized this is not happening soon enough because I don't drive the car very much. So I think in the future, after this, I get, eventually get rid of this car, I'm just going to go on Uber. I don't drive very much, I realized.
There you go.
Okay, thanks. Anybody else want to go? Russ? Dan? Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, 24 Hyundai Ioniq 5. And it's a fun car to drive. It supercharges up to 80% in less than 20 minutes. Plenty of storage space. And the range is fantastic. Even at 80%, it's 265 miles. So very happy.
Great.
Excellent. Well, thanks. Yeah, Russ, did you want to go?
I'm Russ Wigglesworth in Petaluma. I don't really drive that much at all these days, but when I do, I I like my car because it's available. It's right there. And if I need to top it off, I just get out and plug it in for an hour or so, and it's great. And I have a 2015 Kia Soul, so it's not anything spectacular. It's got 90 miles max.
Cool. All right. Thanks, Russ. Cecilia, you want to go?
Yeah. I think the only service I paid for on my car has been maintenance, and that's for tires.
It's cool. Very cool.
Celia, one of these days, we're going to get your microphone where the volume's going to be turned up on your microphone, because otherwise we have to be lip readers most of the time. You are always so soft.
Yeah,
Do you yell at when there's something like no kings? Do you at least yell there?
I mean, you could lip read my yell, because you could definitely not hear me over other people yelling.
Good answer. Okay, we have one more person. You could tell us who you are and if you whatever you love about your mode of transportation.
Hi, I'm Greg. I was there last month.
Here, Greg.
I did drive a 2017 Leaf. I drove it about 110 miles a day, and I was able to do that on one charge. And now it's down to about 50 miles, and you got to really baby it to get even that. It does have it has 95,000 miles on it now, and I don't know why the battery is going down so much, other than age. I did do the math about rebattering it, and it's still cheaper to buy batteries than it is to buy gas. I get a lot more. I would get a lot more saved. I'd only have to drive 24,000 miles to save gas difference. But I don't work for that organization anymore, and I don't really. All I do is drive to a rent-a-car company and get a rent-a-car now. So that and driving the Leaf is really a great experience. I drove it through work. The organization I work for had them, and then I went out and bought one. And most of my driving was inside of city limits, and the biggest problem you have is you can be up to 50 miles an hour before you know it. It is a fun car to drive. It's great for city life. I just don't drive it that much anymore.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thanks. And it's Greg, right?
Greg, yes.
Okay, thanks. All right. So thanks, Cecilia. Cecilia is operating the slide deck, so I really appreciate that. So yeah, just to let you know, this is the NBEAA, the North Bay Electric Auto Association. Most of you know this, but our mission is for the EVA, which is the national organization we're under. The Electric Vehicle Association educates and advocates for the rapid adoption of electric vehicles. So that's our overall mission. We have NBEAA.org, which is the website that Cecilia and myself maintain. Cecilia created it. It's a great place. We record all of these meetings there, and so if you know anyone that would like to see what we do, they can also have access to that. And we do have a few groups. I think we all know about that, so we can go to the next slide. And yeah, on the YouTube, these meetings will be recorded on YouTube at our NBEAA.org site. You can go get that from youtube.com. And thanks again, Cecilia, for putting those recordings up there. That's great. Next slide. And we do communicate via email. You can participate in these. I think most people know about this. If you have any questions, you can email to discuss group, and this is an opt-in so that you can opt into these and receive these emails whenever they come out. Yeah, thanks. Okay. What was that? Thank you, Cecilia. Was that Jerry for? Oh, Jerry also sends out the emails to the group every week, and that's very helpful about the meetings.
I was just saying, Jerry started the YouTube channel.
Oh, Jerry started the YouTube. Okay, good. Yep, we have a lot of videos up there from our meetings. Okay, did you want to talk about this?
Just, John, I think we saved this slide over because we're ongoing in conversations with Michael Pratt at Mendocino College to see if we can learn a little more about how we might be able to participate in a scholarship or something like that. And there was some conversation that maybe Michael would attend this meeting, but he's not here. So we'll just keep everyone updated as we move forward.
Okay. Yeah, it looks like a great program in Mendocino.
Hey, while you're on that slide, I just want to mention a couple of things. I sit on the MTC Policy Advisory Council, and one of our members talked about the program down in South Bay for training, both in electric vehicles, and then also training transit drivers, transit professions. And I found out we have the same thing here in Santa Rosa at the JC, a program, because we can't get drivers for buses, for trains. We can't get maintenance people any longer. And the new maintenance people need to know about EVs because within the next 3 years, all of the buses in Sonoma County will be electric buses. And so we ought to be looking at those programs as well and see if we could help sponsor in some of those programs and make them even more popular. We need to get folks who are coming up to look at careers. And in fact, it was funny, my one friend said, yeah, one of the drivers got there and her friends were all making fun of her for not going out and getting her college degree. And she says, I'm making $150,000 a year as a bus driver. I don't think I needed the college degree.
So we did cover the College of Marin's program with Marin Transit that has an EV component and is exactly what you're talking about. We covered that last month, Jerry, but we didn't cover anything with the Santa Rosa JC. So maybe we should do that in a future month and have, kind of a breadth of review, including Mendocino College for everyone.
Well, the one program I was talking about was actually out of Santa Clara. So I didn't know about the one in Marin.
Yeah, that's in the slide deck from last month. And then we could cover Santa Clara, but I feel like that's a region that's already covered by another chapter, but, talk about it.
Hey, there's one of the things that, and again, this is as your representative at the Sonoma County Transportation. I've learned there's 25,000 students at the Santa Rosa JC. That blew me away. We have a population of 500,000 people in the county and 25,000 enrolled at Santa Rosa JC.
Great. Okay, cool. Let's just go on to the next slide. Yeah, anybody know who was going to cover this one? I guess it's just self-explanatory.
I guess this must have been from Dominic, since none of us are owning it. I'd be happy to speak to it. I think we were all a little curious about, how the sales numbers were going to come through based on all the shifts and changes, including the sunsetting of the IRA money as of September 30. And just the little tidbit here kind of interested me that the Ioniq 5s were outselling the EV6s by so much. I don't know if that was a supply situation or a pricing situation. But even Tesla, with all of its bad press, is growing. So that's interesting.
Yeah. I also noticed that the Chevy Equinox EV is up higher than I expected. And the Honda Prologue was selling better than I expected. Heard not so good news about its sales, but
Oh yeah, it seems like they sell all that they make. I mean, in a way, like when you see sales, I feel like you're seeing some reflection of production.
good point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great.
Okay. Next slide. You want to go for that?
I stuck this in there.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah.
So Santa Rosa City Council is having a meeting on the 18th, and the Board of Public Utilities, Santa Rosa Water, and Transportation and Public Works will be presenting on a master plan for their fleet electrification. And this was in response to CARB's Advanced Clean Fleets Regulation, which is for state and local agencies to reduce the emissions of their medium and heavy duty fleet vehicles to ZEVs by 2040. So FYI for folks who like that sort of thing and want to pop by the meeting.
Okay. Ooh.
So Dominic did a nice job of setting up a few things that are going on nationally at the Electric Vehicle Association, and all of these things are on the myeva.org site. The first thing is that they've partnered with Consumer Reports to create an insight panel in which they're asking the community to kind of comment qualitatively on different things at different times. And the EVA reported that we have about 4 people signed up right now, and there are 4 or 5 chapters that have 5 people signed up. So, hey, if a couple people sign up, we might pop up to the top on signups. And then they're transitioning to providing prizes to chapters based on participation, meaning comments, I believe, replies to their survey requests or replies to their questions. So, if you want to join the Consumer Reports Insights panel, we could win prizes and make more money and potentially disperse it, I suppose.
Looking out from the notes that it's a monthly raffle. It's an entry per survey that you take, and you can do up to 3 entries. And then there's other potential opportunities for things, yeah. And it's recently doubled from what it was before.
Thank you. Yeah.
What does that actually, if you sign up, what does that require? I think I read a note somewhere about that, but
it doesn't really require much, David. It's just a sign-up process where you provide your username and a password, and then you can just kind of reply qualitatively, like, if there are questions are related to charging in the community. Mostly they were interested in collecting data on people, on whether people are using public charging and that sort of thing.
see, my problem is I don't.
Right. I noticed a lot of people who participate say exactly that as well, David. So perhaps maybe that's their finding. That a lot of people aren't necessarily needing to publicly charge, but I know they're interested in that kind of info.
Okay.
Yeah, they do. I signed up, and they do ask you to make a commitment, so to speak, of at least logging in once a week, and participating and just being there and looking at being part of the forum. I don't know exactly what participation means, except being there, but it may be filling out surveys and things like that has been discussed. It's maybe part of that.
Yep. The next slide. Okay, so EVA National Board elections nomination deadline has gone by, but the board will be expanding to 11 members, and I don't know if you recall, in the past years, there have been Meet the Candidate opportunities, and then also usually a write-up about each of the candidates so you can kind of get to know them and then participate in voting online. I think it'd be great year to, do a little bit of research and, find out where people are coming from and what they're going to focus on, because they do end up doing a little bit either in their regions or nationally, to help the organization out. So I would encourage full participation. I don't know what more to say about that. I think everything should be showing up at myeva.org, as I said before. So the next one. So this is an interesting dovetail that I think we all need to research a little more and maybe report back on. But the EVA has set up an opportunity to create scholarships. And I did a little research on the partnering site that they're using, bold.org. So what they've started so far is that the Wisconsin chapter launched a scholarship for students who want careers in EV related fields. So these can be independent of the program. And the EVA is going to launch a national scholarship for $2,500. And what I was a little bit excited about is that any chapter can set up a scholarship fund and fund it through their partner bold.org, which does a little bit of the kind of application process and the vetting of candidates. And so the site is used for a lot of different types of scholarships, so it wouldn't necessarily be EV related only. In other words, say Santa Rosa Junior College could use this site to match their students to money across lots of different disciplines. So we can look into this and see if this might be the best way for us to kind of manage, whatever we decide to do going forward. Does anyone have, since that's kind of an important one, does anyone have a question or comment real quick? Or we can just wait till next month and.
Well, I was curious about the $2,500 national scholarship. My brain isn't really putting that together right. Is that like a total, or could each group have up to $2,500? I'm not really sure. And then
I think that they're encouraging chapters to maybe fund a scholarship of their own and do some fundraising for it, and that there's going to be also one $2,500 national scholarship. Okay. And criteria, you kind of get to set yourself. It could be like, for instance, if we decide our criteria is like, it must be one of these 5 programs that you're going into, or it must be that you're, studying something related to EVs, that sort of thing. So the national scholarship, I would think, would be pretty broad if we know anyone who wants that money. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So also, there's a new chapter list graphic, and it shows the 46 chapters. You can allow location on your browser, and it will show you the nearest chapter to you. And I used that, and it showed me North Bay Electric Auto Association right at the top of the list, and it showed me Golden Gate below that, etc. So I could see all the ones that were near me. And Cecilia, you might know, we have our own chapter page at the EVA, and it's nicely set up. I think you worked on that at one point. I'm not sure, but our own chapter page, once you click into it, links out to our site and also our Facebook page, and has a couple other features like a form where you can submit a question or something to our chapter, and it lists Jerry as our secretary. So I guess there might be kind of a standard way that they've set up all the pages where they always list the secretary.
It's fun to see the map like this. I hadn't seen it laid out, on a map before. So I like seeing that.
I'm not sure what the colors of the states mean, other than it's just colorful. I don't think it means like a number of members or anything like that.
You know if that's the 46 is actually the total? I thought we had more chapters than that.
I guess we have 46 now. Perhaps some have combined or something. I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah. We look well represented in California.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the next one, I think we've got a couple of marketing programs that the EVA has done. Cost savings by state. This is a really quick video if you want to run it, Cecilia, or I don't know if I can. The cost savings by state, they've created a little animated bill that you can, post on a reel at Facebook or post to Instagram if you want. And they're going to be releasing each of these for all 32 states where we have active chapters. So I guess I'm going to skip the states where we don't have active chapters. It's just some material or content that I think they're trying to make so that people can kind of share widely things that we might be able to start just posting randomly on our Facebook page, possibly, and resharing if we want to kind of get into that. So that's a little Texas one. Each one has a little bit of music, so I guess we don't have audio tied in, but it does not have a voiceover. It just has like a little music. And so the stats are a little different for each state, but they're just meant to be animated and kind of a fun way to consume info.
All right, I turned off the audio so that you could keep talking over the video, but we can have audio for the next one.
No worries on that one. Okay, so the next one is a little longer. Oh yeah. So the other thing they're doing, this is the one slide I was a little confused about from Dominic, so he can correct us later if he wants to, but I think what he wanted us to know is that they've hired a couple of influencers to create content, and they have kind of a specific tactic to reach broader audiences and engage people to drive an EV for the first time and show their reaction. So that could be fun. I don't see any content yet from this particular initiative, so maybe we can look for it and bring it to a future meeting. Next slide.
Oh.
Now this one is going on right now. There's a series of videos that are probably like what we've talked about doing on occasion. Like me, you can EV. That's kind of the tagline for each of them. And I think that they're pretty well scripted. Different points are brought forward by different individuals. And if you go to this link that's right on this screen, you can watch all of them. And this one would be helpful to have audio on.
I drive a Tesla. I bought mine in 2021, and I use it both as a around town driver and a road trip car, so that was important to me. The majority of the charging, exactly 77%, is done at home overnight, and it takes about 5 seconds to plug in, and then in the morning it's ready to go. When I'm on road trips, the Tesla charging network has been good since 2021 and gotten better. Now there's lots of options with Electrify America and ChargePoint and many other providers. I do have an adapter, so I can charge my car at any brand of charger with any type of plug.
I like how it ends. Like Steve, you can EV. So there's a few different personalities, and I think they did do like kind of a call for submit your videos, and this might be kind of a result of that. So it's likely that they'll want to produce more.
I hope they have more than Teslas, because when I've traveled around the country and I talk to people about electric cars, they always say to me, well, I don't want a Tesla. They believe that the only people who don't drive electric cars and who haven't had experience with them believe that electric cars are Teslas.
Well, there's 6 of them, and I think that's the only Tesla one that I recall. So they're all a little different. So these little facts are also each one's a page or a link, really easy to post. So these are little EV facts that they've created into graphics, and I don't know if they have like different dimensions of images and stuff. I just saw that they were posting them in this vertical format, but again, we can borrow some of this stuff. I don't have like a strong idea about how we might use it at some of our in-person events, but perhaps there are some ways that we can kind of pull some of this info into our in-person events.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So in total, I think what we're seeing is that the EVA is really trying to kind of get out there and push some content and create content that we can all use in the chapters. It'd be great to see if we could kind of use it as a little bit of a springboard, because a lot of the stuff we've talked about, like putting together little factoids and things like that. And I don't know if we want to dress up the NBEAA site with some of this stuff or not, but I was thinking about our Facebook page.
That's interesting when you talk about in-person events, and it just occurred to me that having a little kiosk that we could power up with a TV screen and a small keyboard, and people could click on, even a touch screen, big touch screen, click on, oh, I want to see that one, I want to see this one. And then we bring an EV6 or an Ioniq 5 or whatever, and have it power up the kiosk. It tells you a whole bunch of things at one time.
There you go. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Sonia, I like your idea of sharing potentially these graphics onto our Facebook page, if that's okay with the EVA. I assume that would be, but I could check with them.
It's the sole purpose of it. If you look, they're saying share widely, share widely. It's like they've created it and they want it to just take flight. So
yeah, look into that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think, they've done some things to make it easy. Like everything has a friendly web address, a friendly URL. So each one of these graphics has its own page so that you can just post it, and, hopefully the image will show up nicely. Yeah.
It'd be good to see if they're printable on, an 8.5 by 11 and still have good resolution and stuff.
Yeah, that's the one thing I didn't see. Like, sometimes you want like a square aspect ratio or something, or you want to print something, and maybe they've got some of that stored somewhere. Yeah.
Good.
And this, I think we kind of plugged this last month. The EVA store is open if you want like your merch and you want your logo on your shirt or something like that. They've got stuff there for you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, everyone, this is my dad and I, John, and I are going to be sharing about our family's recent purchase of this beautiful blue 2025 Equinox EV. And it has been quite a journey for us over the past couple months or so. And there's a lot we want to share with you about that process of finding it and choosing the car, as well as all the parts of the credits, rebates, grant, and the grant we were able to receive. So if you can hold your questions until the end, we would love to answer them at that time. But we're going to just kind of go through our slides and share with you our journey. Next slide. Okay, so in thinking about this presentation, I was trying to remember kind of what was the initial spark for our family that really began this whole process. There were about like 4 parts to it. So as you all know, the federal credits ended on September 30th. So that was obviously a big thing on our minds. I had learned about the Clean Cars for All program about maybe 2 years ago, but at that point it did not include Santa Rosa, and also the income cap was a bit lower than it is now. And so I kind of had that in the back of my mind as like, wouldn't that be cool if our family could sometime do that? And it wasn't until about, a year or so ago, or within the last year, they expanded their program to include Santa Rosa and other parts of the Bay Area. And also they've increased the income cap. And so at that point, I realized, John and I started talking and realized, oh my gosh, maybe it just kind of was like a little dream, like, wow, wouldn't that be amazing if, we could get that grant as a family. Anyway, so then we've been kind of thinking about that this past year, just in the back of our minds. And unfortunately, at the beginning of this summer, the program was waitlisted, and then it closed due to funding, running out of funding. And so I was calling them this summer just to see, do you think the program will reopen? When do you think it'll reopen? And they estimated late August. So we were kind of wondering and waiting, not sure if this could be a possibility. In addition, our family has a 30-year-old Camry that has some issues, and we've been wanting to replace it with a car that we could go on family trips in. And one of the requirements of the Clean Cars for All program is that you have an older ICE vehicle that you can trade in. So anyway, those were kind of the little sparks in our minds that we've been talking about and kind of wondering, wouldn't it be amazing if we could stack the Clean Cars for All grant with the federal credit? We had no idea if that would be possible. So this is our story. Next slide.
Yeah, so then the biggest thing for us was learning about CCFA, the Clean Cars for All, because we knew about the federal grant. It was kind of clear. We knew about the income requirements for that, and et cetera, and vehicle requirements. So just their definition in quotes here is just grants. It created grants for income qualified Bay Area residents to retire their older car and replace it with a plug-in hybrid, battery, or hydrogen fuel cell electric vehicle, or a prepaid card to use for public transit and purchase e-bikes. So it was pretty all-inclusive for anybody with an interest in any of these options could participate in the program. For the option that we chose, which is to get a grant for an electric battery-powered electric vehicle, there was an income requirement. You had to live in the Bay Area, which then included Santa Rosa just recently. You needed to purchase a qualified vehicle. So in our case, it was a battery electric vehicle through an authorized dealership. So not all that many dealers were authorized by Clean Cars for All, and I think it was a process that the dealers had to go through to become authorized. So you had to do that with an authorized dealer, and the sale price of the vehicle at the dealer, I guess the MSRP, had to be $48,000 or less. And that was actually a detail we discovered kind of late in the process. At first, we just thought, oh, you can do any old car. But also the last requirement was to turn in a 2007 or older ICE vehicle, and yeah, So our vehicle was kind of perfect because we knew that it was aging and was having some trouble. It still passed smog, luckily, but I think it was going to need work. The grants ranged from 4,500 to 12,000. 12,000 was the full grant, with also living in a region, a particular region that was defined as a low-income community. Our maximum was 10,000 in this area, and so it also depended on the type of vehicle and where you live. So next slide.
Yeah, so as I mentioned, the Clean Cars for All was waitlisted for, at the beginning of the summer, and then it closed. And I had been calling them, to try to figure out, will you reopen? When will you reopen? They estimated end of August, and then I happened to go onto the website and found out that they reopened on August 19th to new applications. So that was kind of a really exciting, first step really for us. So right away, John and I went on to the portal. We created an account. We started the application. And again, this was an application for my parents. I was just helping out with the whole process because I'm very passionate about all this. But it was my parents' application. They were able to verify eligibility and then complete the full application on August 22nd. So we heard about the program reopening, then we're able to apply, within a couple days and finish that application, which I think really was to our benefit in the long run. In case you're curious, the types of things we had to upload were the Camry pink slip and DMV registration record, federal tax return transcript, and my parents' driver's licenses. Also, there were a lot of questions about income, about the new and the retired vehicles, etc. So we even put a little comment on there that said, we're really hoping to be approved before the 9:30 federal deadline. And we found out a little later on that the Clean Cars for All team really did hustle over that next month to get everything expedited, really, for people to be able to meet that deadline. So that was really, we were grateful to the program for doing that. But still, we had no idea at this point. Once we applied, we had no idea if we would get it in time, if we would even be, approved. A lot was up in the air. So next slide.
So one of the first things we did was to figure out which vehicle we were interested in, and that would involve test driving. Both Ellen, my wife Robin, and I test drove these vehicles. They were we wanted a vehicle that was had a 300-mile range. So we also they needed to be a vehicle that would be able to receive the $7,500 credit. The only vehicle here that we tested, the Mustang Mach-E, could only get that through a lease option. So that kind of lowered it on the list, but we did want to try the Mach-E. We follow some people that have the Mach-E vlog, and we just were interested in the car because of that. And the Honda Prologue we liked a lot. It kind of dropped out of contention, like many of them, because of the price. The Ioniq 5 we had taken on a long road trip, borrowed that car, and the EV6 and Equinox we tested here in Santa Rosa. Yeah, next slide.
So again, we applied on August 22nd. Then 4 weeks passed, actually, and we heard nothing from Clean Cars for All. So we actually started losing hope and started kind of making plans about what we would do if we did not receive this grant. And like John mentioned, in the meantime, we did a lot of research about vehicles. We test drove them. We kind of weighed, pros and cons and compared them all. But then we got a call from Clean Cars for All after that 4-week wait. Then soon after that, we received the pre-inspection form, which required us to take the Camry to Pick and Pull in Windsor and have it inspected and make sure it met the requirements. Then we signed the terms, read the 18-page terms and conditions document very thoroughly and signed it. And then amazingly, we were so this was really the true turning point. On September 20th, so 10 days before the federal credit deadline, we received an email saying we were awarded the $10,000 grant from Clean Cars for All. So that was really, like my dad wrote, party time. We were just so excited, so grateful. Honestly, a few days before we actually had thought we would not receive the grant, we really were making other plans. So this was kind of a shock and just really exciting for us. Again, I mentioned before, it was a really fast turnaround at this point for Clean Cars for All. Each step they processed very quickly, and we found out later that they were, kind of working overtime to make this possible for people like us with the federal credit deadline. So next slide.
I was going to add that I got a personal call from one of the team members from Clean Cars for All while I was shopping for groceries, and I stopped everything and talked with a person because it was a very important call, saying that, hey, the next step was for you to get your car that you're going to turn in inspected, and that we're moving forward. So anyway, it was a very exciting period of time. In the process of all the tests and thinking about it and reading the terms and conditions document, we learned that the 48,000, that's pretty much when we learned that there was a $48,000 limit that knocked out almost all the vehicles except for the Equinox. But we had been kind of falling towards the Equinox anyway. We really like the EV is a redesigned version of the Equinox, very different looking than the gas-powered ones, and had the 300-mile range. It had all that we wanted. We started out by thinking of the lowest trim level car, but that just wasn't available. And so we set our sights on a blue Equinox EV with the kind of mid-level trim. I'm trying to think.
And front-wheel drive.
And front-wheel drive, yeah, just to get the best efficiency and the least cost. Also, with Chevy, the Chevy dealers seem to have some, several thousands of dollars of extra credits that they would give to a buyer. And also the Costco, we were Costco members, and that was a $1,250 added credit that Chevy had an arrangement with Costco for. So just everything added up to look like, if we're going to maximize all our credits, then let's go with the Equinox EV. Also, given that we hadn't seen a lot of the Equinox EVs around, we kind of wanted to have a different one. We liked L and Chevy Bolt, and we thought, wouldn't it be fun to have Chevys in the driveway? So it's a very challenging time of year to buy a car in late September. We found out, I mean, it's not like we buy a lot of cars. This was the first new car we'd ever purchased. My wife and I have always bought used cars. So realizing that model years are switching at that time of year, 2025 models were hard to find. There were very few of them around. There weren't very many of the LT1 versions, the lowest cost Equinoxes in the state. So we're starting to decide which trim level to get. Also, the 2026s, although they were being made, were in transit or hard to find. So we were weighing the difference between the 2025 and 26. And we did want the blue. We were definite on blue. We loved the blue and still do. We wanted the LT1 or 2 trim, and we wanted the front wheel drive. And here we were trying to do this 10 days or a week before the 9/30 deadline, which we found out kind of through doing a fair amount of research and talking with dealers that we couldn't purchase the car and have it delivered later and have it work with the federal credit. We thought that would work based on what we read on the federal documents, but didn't work out. So we realized that now we were forced to get a car that we could have in possession by 9/30, and that meant it had to be delivered to the dealer that we were at that time. So we called really pretty much Ellen called every dealer in on their list, every Chevy dealer on the CCFA list, which there are 11 in the Greater Bay Area, and we found one down at Fremont. It was Fremont, wasn't it, Ellen? The Chevy dealership down there.
Yeah. But it wasn't there though. It
wasn't there. It was in transit to get there on the 25th. So here we were thinking, okay, we got 10 days, and 5 days we're betting, crossing our fingers on getting one to come in. So we asked them to reserve it for us, and then next slide.
So we were, this was, I think I found this car online on like the 23rd, I believe. I found it in, listed as in transit. We told them we wanted it. We kind of put all our eggs in this one basket. And then we got the call on Thursday evening, 9:25, that it had been damaged in transit. And we were just heartbroken, honestly. It was just so surprising, so sad. They didn't know if they told us they cannot repair it by the 30th, so they cannot sell it by the 30th. So sadly, that went out of the running. And on 9/26, so this was a Friday, just a few days before the deadline, we really had to start our search over again, given, and remember that there were so few options available because of this weird time of year, that we actually kind of started losing hope that we could make this happen. But we decided to call Concord Chevy, because we've heard that they really have a lot of connections with other dealerships and are able to do a lot of dealer trades, very well connected in the Bay Area. They were able to find us a car that was almost identical to the one that had been damaged. However, it was at a San Luis Obispo dealership, and that was not in the Clean Cars for All accepted dealerships. So they were able to do a vehicle trade with San Luis Obispo, and we decided we were going to buy it. So we paid for a driver through Concord to drive it up to Concord by the next day. So this is all happening in a very short window here. So then the vehicle was driven at the morning of 9/28, got there, afternoon of 9/28. We drove down in the evening of, the 28th, and purchased the Equinox and drove it home in the dark. So it was quite a weekend. And, we were very excited. However, the next day we found out that sadly there had been a mistake in the spelling of John's last name, and that had the slightly wrong VIN on the paperwork. And so we were kind of freaking out at that point, mostly because of the IRS deadline and worrying about the paperwork being slightly off with the IRS. We didn't want any issues there. So John and my mom, Robin, they drove down to Concord on the 30th. So this is the last day. They drove down to Concord, re-signed all the paperwork, all the corrected paperwork, and submitted it to the IRS. And we were all just, crossing our fingers, hoping everything would work out. So next slide.
So we did get the car. I mean, it's really true. We drove it home. To us, we kept pinching ourselves thinking this is somehow impossible, but it was happening. And I think because of the trauma of that last week, we kept doubting that everything would really work. But we did need to go forward. And after a period of waiting where we had pretty much decided that things were really happening, that we were going to be able to have this car, that they weren't going to pull the rug out from under us and say, oh, you owe us, however many tens of thousands, whatever, because the deals didn't go through. We decided to then go ahead and turn in the Camry, because once we did that, that would be kind of sealing it for us. We wanted to have that car if we didn't get the Equinox, but so when we turned it in, that was kind of a final deal. It was an old family vehicle owned by my wife's mother, and it was in the family for 30 years, and it was starting to smoke. and it had lost its air conditioning unit, and so we knew that several thousand maybe going into the car if we kept it. So we cleaned it out. We drove it one last time to the beach, and that lower picture is Ellen and myself with the car at Duran Beach, just enjoying a really nice day and a trip in the Camry for one last time. We took it to Pick and Pull in Windsor, which was one of the approved dismantlers that was nearby, and they were great. They did a little functional test and filled out this post-inspection report, and that was the thing that finalized everything for Clean Cars for All. It's like that was the one document that was waiting and had the payment in pending status for them to pay to the dealer. So that was a very final moment for us. I think we can go to the next slide.
Yeah, so as John mentioned, that was the final step for Clean Cars for All, turning in the car. However, for us, the final step was really feeling confident that the IRS credit and the CCFA grant payments really were finalized and went through, because again, they were in this pending status for a while after the 30th. And so we were just kind of calling regularly to the Concord dealership at this point to just make sure that everything was moving forward and looking good. But then by early November, I guess just this past week, we found out that yes, the CCFA payment and the IRS credit were officially approved. And so that was truly such a relief for us to have that complete after kind of this, stressful unknown, but also very exciting process. And just this past week, we received the Equinox EV's pink slip and license plates. We got these cute little blue borders for them. So at this point, everything feels very officially complete, and we are sighing, we have a big sigh of relief about all that. So next slide.
Yeah, so Ellen and I had fun putting this together. It's just a little timeline overview. Feel that you get a big picture of how in a 2-month or 8-week period, most of the action was in the middle there around the 9:30 deadline. And it seems, as I hear all this, even though there was a lot that we did, it's hard to communicate how many little steps there were, how many documents had to be scanned and sent online, how many different forms that we had never looked at before had to be filled out, and how many documents had to be read. So it was just quite a process. So this a lot of waiting period at the beginning and the end, and then the final time when the Camry was turned in to be scrapped. So I think that's it on that slide. We can go on.
Yeah, so we just thought it'd be interesting to share, very transparently with you what the cost breakdown was for this purchase. The MSRP was $43,590. There was a transport fee for moving it from San Luis Obispo. Then there's the 10% sales tax, DMV fees. And then at the bottom on the left, I want to go through the credits, which were really just kind of the amazing part that is still almost hard to believe, but we're, so grateful about. So there's the $10,000 grant. And then an interesting part I wanted to highlight is we learned kind of late in the process that with the grant, the CCFA grant, they also allow you to have a reduced sales tax. So the sales tax was reduced down to 6% instead of 10%, which was totally a shock to us and just really an amazing part of this program that I think a lot of people don't know about. So again, it went down from 10% down to then only being taxed at 6% of the MSRP, plus transport fee. Then there's the federal tax credit. As John mentioned, we also got a Costco rebate because my parents are executive members, so it was a $1,250 rebate. Chevy also offered with these cars, I think for anyone pretty much, or anyone who was purchasing outright, I believe. There was a customer cash and a EV bonus cash that came with just from Concord Chevy. So then on the right-hand side, you can see the total cost, the total credits, and the out-the-door price. So the out-the-door price was about half of the total cost. So this is where we're kind of still in shock about this, and just truly what made it, possible for us, and why we're, just so grateful to the Clean Cars for All program, why it's such a resource for, I think, the Bay Area.
Yeah. And to go back to the original dream, the spark that started this is the realization of that dream, and we really didn't expect it to happen this way, because it was a dream that we thought, oh, if we add all of the credits, this is like an unbelievable amount that could help us, and let's just try. And so to have it succeed like this is kind of startling, and we're grateful for that.
Yeah. Next slide.
So just to go over some of the features of the car, to on the technical side, of course, we love the blue color and how the car looks and drives, but it does have the 85 kilowatt hour Ultium battery. Just a little side note, it is the Ultium platform is one in which they for different models add modules to the pack to increase the total kilowatt hour rating of the pack. But each module is kind of the same and is used for different cars in the platform. This car has a fairly low battery voltage compared to some of the modern cars. It's on the order of the low 300 volts range. So when like the bigger cars in the Ultium, using the Ultium, have just a higher voltage, and they add modules to it to make that happen. But regardless, the 85 kilowatt hour battery gives us 319 miles range. We have yet to check that out, but we're excited to do that.
Mm-hmm.
It does charge at 150 kilowatt max, which is considerably more than the Chevy Bolt, as some of you Bolt owners know. So that's exciting to go on longer trips and be able to use fast charging. It does have a faster kilowatt, 11.5 kilowatt charging when plugged in at home. If we do get a new EVSE, a new charge unit for home, then we'll hope it can go up to 11.5. That'd be great. It does use true one pedal driving, and it's optional for different drivers. So different ones of us in the family will use. I like one pedal. Ellen and my wife Robin do not use the one pedal driving, so they can set that as needed, and it's great. It has the power lift gate. This is one of the LT2 features, which I'm actually liking. It's handy when your arms are full. And it because the bolt has just the air shocks that are wearing out in time, and so it doesn't hold itself up on our driveway. So having a power lift gate can be really handy. It has trailer provisions, which we may never use, but it's wired for that. 19-inch wheels. The 360-degree surround vision is actually kind of cool. We have a narrow driveway, so we can punch that when we're coming up, and you get a bird's eye view of the car and see how it's clearing on the sides. It's computer generated, so it's kind of cool. Adaptive cruise control protects you from, to some degree, alerts you for possible front end collisions and people passing in left and right. And the alert system we're still learning about all this stuff, so it's pretty new to us. Wireless cell phone charger in the center console. The Hey Google feature, it's got really big maps. We'll show a few. I guess did we already show pictures, Ellen? Or
next slide. Yeah, we'll do that.
Okay.
But
so,
yeah.
The really good display for maps, and I can just say, like when we took it home from Concord, I said, "Hey Google, take us to Santa Rosa," and it just created the map, and there we went. It said and gave directions like any cell phone app. So,
yeah. And you can also tell it like, hey, Google, change the temperature or increase the volume or whatever. You can kind of tell it to do everything, which has really been kind of fun. And we didn't really know about that feature until we drove off with it, honestly. So,
yeah. So a lot of the technology is new and kind of exciting and overwhelming sometimes. Let's see. So it did come with a portable level 1 and 2 EVSE up to 30 amps at 240 volts. So that's pretty nice, very small, and but portable, so that can go on trips with us. The front seats are heated. The driver's seat has the electric motor adjustments, which I actually find really useful because while I'm driving, I can actually make adjustments safely, whereas with a standard manual, when it's so clunky that I'm not sure it's probably not advisable to do that while driving. So, but with an electric, I feel like I can. Ambient lighting is really cool. It's got a bunch of different colors that you can select for different parts of the dashboard, and it's kind of fun. And then there are it's a black interior with some minor blue accents, and then the flush door handles, which many of you know about with Tesla and other cars have that. So next slide.
So unfortunately, we can't show you the car in person today, but I thought I'd kind of walk you through some pictures of the interior. In the upper left, you can see those blue accents kind of in the center console and then on the right-hand driver door. On the right-hand door. And then in the center top image, you can see there's the wireless iPhone charger right below the screen. And then you can see kind of how big the screen is there. One of the cool things I wanted to mention about the Equinox is it has the ability to see the map on the big screen to the right. And then also right in front of the steering wheel, you can see kind of a close-up map of right where you are in the lane. So it's kind of, John talked about it like it feels like you're in an airplane because you have such a good map. You have these two maps, like two views of the map, that are kind of fun. Then in the bottom left, you can see the dual level 1, level 2 EVSC. It has a great, large trunk space that we are excited to kind of test out on a road trip sometime soon. Then in the bottom right, there's the J1772 and CCS port on the left-hand side, the front left. Just wanted to give you a feel for the car. Hopefully at the next meeting, we can show it to you in person or some meeting coming up.
It's also really roomy inside. That upper right picture may not give it justice, but it does feel a lot more roomy than the Chevy Bolt. And so sometimes just driving in the back is kind of nice. It's really
Okay, next slide.
Yeah. So one of the aspects of the Clean Cars for All program is an added benefit if you make application for a home charger. You can get support for up to $2,000 for the charger and installation costs. If you have an EVSE that is hardwired or plugged in but is attached to the wall, then you will they require that you go through the process of having a contractor work with you. We found that was a little bit odd from our perspective because many people just think of using a EVSE that has a plug on it that can plug into an existing outlet without using a contractor. But in their book, they are requiring people to do that because they're dealing with people in many, many counties with different requirements. If it is called a portable and is like shown in the picture here, this Grizzle E is an example of a charger EVSE we're looking at. Then if it's really portable, then it can be done simply as $1,000 support for costs up to that, and then you do not need to have a contractor install it. We need to do this within 60 days, so we're actually coming up to our deadline in a few weeks. And I mentioned the portable quote unquote portable EVSE is a very specific thing. I feel like we have to get their approval to make sure that it is indeed portable in their mind, because some of the chargers that we've used and we've seen out there for purchase have a feature to be able to unplug them and carry them with you on a trip. So we just have to make sure we get the right one. And
I just want to add, John, that one option, there are 3 options for this. You can either get the $2,000 for the home charger and installation, or the $1,000 for a portable EVSE, or there is a third option of getting $1,000 for an EV charge card, which is essentially a card that you can use at a lot of different charging networks, fast charging networks. However, the caveat is you have to use it within a year, and $1,000 is kind of a lot to use in a year, we're realizing, because we mostly charge at home. So we're leaning towards doing the $1,000 portable EVSE. But go ahead. I'll let you finish, John.
Yeah, that's good. I'm glad you said that. We really were seriously considering the charge card because it seemed a lot easier to deal with, because there was a fair amount of paperwork to read and process to go through to get the support for the portable EVSE. So we're still deciding about that. Also, our present EVSE is aging and has lost its company support because the company went out of business.
It's a juice box.
Oh, the juice box, right. The app doesn't work anymore, and they've gone out of business. So it's kind of a question about whether we want to replace that or not. We're still in process with this, and we'll share updates as they happen. So go ahead, next slide.
Okay, so I just wanted to kind of summarize what we've shared and also offer some reflections. What John and I have realized is that these stacked credits really made this dream possible for our family. And it's just something we're so, truly grateful for. And we partly want to share this so that other people could, learn about the CCFA program and take advantage of it. If someone has a vehicle to turn in and they are are a lower income individual, it's just an incredible program, we think. CCFA is still accepting new applications, but that is kind of while funding, lasts. So I don't know how long that will be. I did also want to mention that John and I found that the online portal and the documents and online resources that they provided were really excellent, very helpful and thorough. So we used those extensively throughout this process. However, it was challenging to get individual support from the program through phone calls or emails. Very hard to get much of a response. However, we realized that may have been because this was such a crunch time for them. So that may be different now. We're not sure, but just wanted to share that part of the program. Kind of some of the pros and cons of that for us. We did find that our, really persistent research, and we were very thorough and extensive in our research in finding this perfect car. And that paid off in the end, because some dealerships were saying that, oh no, you can't find such and such car, or oh, that's too hard or whatever. But we were persistent, and so we found it. It really did pay off. Also, we were careful to kind of, choose a salesperson that we thought would be really good to work with, very caring and thoughtful. And so that really paid off in the end too, by really trying to find good salespeople to work with. Really made a difference for us. Anyway, all 3 of us, my parents and I, John, Robin, and I, really love the Equinox EV so far. We are excited to take it on a road trip. We're planning to take it up to Oregon next summer, and definitely some trips before then too. And on the right there, you can see our 2 Chevys now. My Chevy Bolt in the bottom there on the right, and my parents' blue Equinox EV in the driveway. So it's really fun having 2 Chevy EVs in the family now. And next slide. At this point, I want to thank you all for kind of listening to our story and your interest, and we want to open it up for any questions that people have. Yeah, Jerry.
Just a couple of things. One question came up at one point on the portable charge cables. I'm finding you can buy those for $199 now on the web. Really good ones. They're only for 7.7 kilowatts, so it won't drive your 10. But you're going to need a more than the 50 amp circuit to run 10 in any case. So I don't know if knowing your house, I'm not sure you're going to get the 50 amp circuit there anyway. So I've been kind of surprised that they'll give $1,000 for a portable, and even the mounted ones. If you didn't have an electrician, you can certainly do that for $500 or less now with the stations. They're pretty affordable these days. One question was, you went to multiple dealerships, and I don't know if it was the buying experience or the process, but when I went to buy the EV6, we went to Jim Bone and said, this is the one we want. They didn't have one. So they searched the state and found one and said, okay, we'll have it shipped here. So I was kind of surprised you had to go to different dealerships. Why did you have to go to different dealerships?
I think it's a great question, because I know what you're talking about. I think it was the time of year. People were telling us like, oh, they were saying, oh, we might be able to find something, but they were saying the inventory of, such and such specifications is so low right now. We don't know if we can get it by the deadline. So we had kind of these multiple factors we were working with. We had a deadline, we had very specific car we were looking for, and it had to be at a specific dealership. So all those factors kind of, I don't know. I totally know what you're talking about. Some dealerships were more willing than others to try to do that. Oh, one other thing. Sorry, sharing a lot, but is that the Equinox EV LT2 and 1 were very hot items, kind of. And so the dealership had to have another hot item car to trade for that. And some of them didn't really want to do that if there was a risk that it wouldn't come in time and then we wouldn't buy it. So it's a really good question you have, but I found that some dealerships were a little less willing to help us with that than others.
Well, the other thing is, going through the feature list of the Equinox, it sounds so much like my EV6. I mean, except for the fact that it only charges 150 kilowatt. And other than that, it seems to have everything the EV6 has on it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, we found that the Ioniq 5, the Ioniq 5 EV6, Honda Prologue, Chevy Equinox EV, all were very similar in terms of like specs and details, except for, the NACS port or the fast charger rate or a few things like that. But yeah, it's a good point.
And okay, thanks, Jerry. David, you had typed in a question. I think you were asking about why get a portable if we already have a portable in the car, right?
Right.
Yeah. So good question. We're still not sure about what we're going to do, because we really wanted to get another kind of dedicated, EVSE that we could put outside and trust that it was going to be good in the weather. One thing nice about the portables with the Grizzle E has a 40 amp portable, which would work for our circuit right now. And that would be nice. I personally would rather not have that. I mean, it has a cord coming out of each end, and it just seems like not the greatest thing for something we mount on our post in the driveway. So mixed feelings there about that, but it does have a higher amp rating than the one that's in the car. And I think, like Cecilia said in the chat, that it is really nice to have something in the car that you don't have to move every time, when you're going on a trip. So
right.
Also, the current and amp ratings are different. Sorry to interrupt.
Well, no, we got our first charger in 2011 for when Blink was doing them and installed in the garage, and then when Sonoma Clean Power was doing the incentive on the juice box, we got one of those. Now I learned too late though that kept tripping the 40 amp breaker, so I had an electrician upgrade my breaker, and then I learned that the juice box, you could software drop it down to 38 so it wouldn't trip the breaker. And so I spent like $500 on an electrician to put new wiring and have an outside plug that I could have avoided had I understood. Now, I've still got that juice box, but we've got 3 EVs, so we've got the 3 portable ones, and of course so I think the best one that we've got though is actually the one that came with the Nissan Leaf. It's both a 110 and 220, and so that's the one that's sitting there with the, because the juice box at times it's not 100% reliable now, and there's no support for it. So interesting. But you talk about the $1,000. We got 1,000 kilowatt hours, which is less than $1,000, but we're only got about 250 left after we got it at the end of March. So we're at what, 7+ months, and we've almost used up our 1,000 kilowatt hours with our EV6. And
hey, David, the only thing I have to say to that is you've got to learn how to go out and buy $10 worth of wire and a $22 breaker and spend a half an hour and do the wiring yourself to save $500.
Right. Well, I ran that, but the wire was to get it. The first one was at the head of the garage because, the Leafs you plugged in the front. And so that one didn't have a long enough cable to get outside the garage. Right. So that's why I ended up, paying an electrician, crawl underneath the garage and all that stuff. Okay.
Yeah. Well, that's
and where to put your plug. I mean, you're talking about a post in the driveway. I probably should have gone that far, and I didn't. But
it's all still up in the air, and these are all points that we're kind of hashing out and still thinking about that charge card, because if we could use even $500 on it, because we're not going to be able to spend all of the 1,000 that we could on an EVSE, like Jerry was saying,
Kia did that 1,000 kilowatt hours with Electrify America. That the card you're talking about would allow you to use various networks. Because the thing that's come down to is actually I've been successful at using. Electrify America is starting to mess with us, but we could use it to charge the other 2 cars.
Mm-hmm.
Go Electrify America and charge any of our EVs using the 1,000 kilowatt hours that we were given because of the EV6.
Right, and just
I tried to do that, didn't work.
Well, as a note, we did call Clean Cars for All and ask, hey, if we get the card, can we use it for more than just the Equinox and so forth? And they said yes. And then I asked, can we share it with other family members? And then I said, how far can we go with this? And the overall intent of the program is to, they say in the documentation that, it's not transferable, but they really don't want people to get this $1,000 card and then sell it to somebody for $500 and make money on it. And that's their intent. And so we got that clearly. So really, we feel like if we worked it smartly and shared it between our cars, and maybe my sister-in-law who has an Ionic 5, who knows, maybe that would be okay, and try to use the $1,000, because the $1,000 is there. It's just not intended to be sold or somebody to make money on it. That's the main thing.
And one other fun thing we've considered is John and I have wanted to take a cross-country EV road trip sometime, in the next 10 years or so. So, what if we tried to do it something in the next year? I don't know. It's all kind of a little unknown dream, but I do have like a college reunion coming up next May in Massachusetts, and wouldn't it be fun to do a cross-country trip? Because the $1,000 would cover, John and I did the math, and it would be about approximately like $1,000 there and back of fast charging ish, So anyway, we'll see. Might not happen next year, but it would be a fun little dream.
Okay. I wrote about that.
Oh, sorry. Did you have a different question, David?
Yeah. Well, the NACS adapter. I mean, Kia sent us one. We were in the window when they would the 2024s, the 2025 EV6s have the NACS, is the only plug in it, but the 2024 still had the CCS, and they sent us at no cost the adapter. But I have not, I have the Tesla app from when I gave them $1,000 for a deposit on a Tesla roof, which I never got. And trying to get that $1,000 back from Tesla has been a hassle. And now I'm going to go over to the dealers here in Santa Rosa and see. Come on, give me that $1,000 in my Tesla account so I can charge cars on the Tesla network. But Kia's adapter says, only usable on a Kia vehicle. Well, I don't see why that is, but
in fact, you can buy those adapters. Caleb pointed me to an adapter. They're $92.
Well, hold on. Let's finish up the Equinox questions, and then we can move on to general discussion. Anybody else with Equinox questions?
I have a pressing question I've been sitting on about the interior. So you showed a picture that you've got buttons as well as screens. Yes. And you've got like a button on the top left of the screen.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, Cecilia, could you go to that slide? It's just like 3 or 4 slides ago.
So what does that do? Because I'm kind of curious about, some of the manual buttons can be kind of handy compared to.
That's the volume. Screen. I believe that's the volume, the one in the upper left of the screen there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's volume. And once you touch it and move it, there's a highlighted a light bar that shows where you are. Mm-hmm. You can also ask Google to change the volume, and then it will change, and you'll see that. You can actually ask the Google Assistant to change their volume, because when we first got the car, the Google Assistant was way too loud. Anyway, that was just funny.
Change your volume.
Also, on the bottom below it, you see a couple buttons. There's a series of air conditioning type selection buttons there for on-off and location and where you're doing things, so that you can actually set fan speed manually with buttons and location if you want.
Mm-hmm. And then on the steering wheel, do you have like a headlight and steering, like a windshield wiper management that's separate from the screen?
Yeah. On the did you want to say that, Ellen?
I just want to say that reminds me, Sonia, a cool thing about this car is on the right hand, just if you're holding the steering wheel, just to the right behind where you turn on like a blinker or windshield wiper, it actually is the shifter. So you have to pull it towards you and down for drive, or towards you and up for reverse. And then there's a button on the end for park. So that's very different. There isn't like a center, shifter. Anyway, that's taken.
Celia's laughing. That's the one thing I don't like about my Tesla. I want it to be down on the.
Oh, you do?
Well, I don't know. I mean, it's okay. It's like the 70s cars in a way,
Yeah, I remember those. I remember the shifting like that. Yeah.
Yes, it's like that.
The thing I like about that, I'm getting used to it. It takes a lot of getting used to have the shifter up there, but I don't have to take my hand really off the wheel to do shifting. And I think that may be kind of nice in the end, and finding the gear handle wherever it is down there. But I will.
The cross button up on the steering wheel, that's not on the EV6. It drives me nuts.
And on the left-hand side is the blinker, normal kind of turn signal up and down. On the end of it, though, is like the park button on the right. That's the quick button for windshield wipers. So you push it really quickly, and it'll just do a wipe. If you push it and hold, you'll get a
spray
and 3 wipes.
The only problem is we constantly are changing lanes with our blinker and turning on the windshield wipers at the same time, because it's hard to not click it.
Yeah, I find the transition from cars that have everything in a different spot. Like I'm constantly jamming the Chevy Volt around in the wrong way because I'm used to a Tesla. So this actually is more compatible in a way, it sounds like.
Yeah, it's just it is definitely getting used to it. And we like on the steering wheel, of course, there's a way to change what the display shows in front of the driver. That's kind of common with cars nowadays. And then we haven't even used the cruise control yet, so just have been driving around town pretty much.
Yeah. And Cecilia had a question about the EVSE. Do you know the answer to that? Is it the one that comes with the car? Is it a NEMA 515 and a 1450? Do you think? I'm not sure.
There are two plugs, Cecilia, and so you can plug in either to a 120 volt outlet with using one of these cords, and then you disconnect it and use the other one for the 1450, which is the big 4-prong. Does that answer your question?
Yeah. Just wanted to verify for alt text for the slides.
Okay. Yeah, and we haven't actually used it yet, but it unplugs from the main unit, and then you switch the adapter to get the 120 volt.
So it's a 515 and 1450, Dad?
I think 515 is the standard 120 volt plug we have. Yeah.
I wasn't familiar with that term. Yeah, David?
What controls does it have to adjust the aggressiveness of the regen? Do you have multiple levels of regen that you can set it?
Yeah, there on the main screen. It's a button. You touch the screen to change the way the one pedal driving works. So you can have it off, which turns it into a car kind of like a little bit like a gas car with an automatic, where you get some regen on the throttle, but it won't pull you to a stop. And then you have what is it? That's the off setting. Then there's a normal setting, and there's a more aggressive setting, I guess, right? 3 settings.
Yeah, I believe there's 3 or 3 or 4 levels. Yeah.
The normal
EV6 has 4 levels.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. The one that I'm like to use takes you to a quite aggressive, not super aggressive, but to a full stop, and will hold you there. And it has a position hold thing that a little light pops up on the screen that says when you have your position being held. So yeah, Jerry.
You're muted.
Just a fun story, and this is nothing about the Equinox. When we're doing fun story. So we're doing the electric buses.
Hold on, Jerry. I just want to finish David's question. Make sure that we get that. Also, David, on the left, there's a paddle. On the left and in front of the wheel, there's a little hand paddle that you can pull to do manual increase of regen. So if you had it in the offsetting, you can actually do that kind of like a foot brake. In my opinion, I haven't used it, but that's also there. So
EV6 has 2 pedals. The left one is to increase it, and the right one is to decrease the aggressiveness.
Okay.
Yeah, but be careful, David. I had somebody else drive the EV6, and they held the right one, and they didn't read the manual and went into auto mode. And then after that, they couldn't get into one pedal anymore, and they couldn't understand why, because the car now was changing the regen levels automatically based on the conditions on the road and the driving and blah, blah, blah. So anyway, the fun story was when we were building electric buses and trucks. They needed a button for shifting because you can't use a shifter on the side anymore, so it was all electronic. And they bought a shifter, and it had 3 buttons that said 1, 2, 3 on it. And so the guys were putting this out, and they're about to send it to the first customer. I said, "What's the 1, 2, 3 do?" And they said, "Well, it doesn't do anything." I said, "Why don't you change the regen level so there's regen level 1, regen level 2, and regen level 3, so they can be really aggressive on 3, and if they want to drive with a lot less, you put it on 1." That turned out to be the number 1 feature that drivers who finally got into driving EVs loved, that they could change the regen level. By the way, it's the reason that I did not buy a Volkswagen.
Oh. Because the Volkswagen won't allow you to get more regen, right? Okay. Yeah, I kind of agree with that.
Yeah. I just want to open it up to anyone who hasn't asked a question. Does anyone who have a lingering question before we move on?
Well, I just had a quick comment that it sounded like you had to very narrowly kind of maneuver around the pricing because it had to be under 48.
Yes.
So good work. I mean, this is an amazing presentation. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much.
Yeah, Sonia, thank you. And that's true. We had started thinking we would go with the LT1 version, which was more on the order of 36,000.
Mm-hmm.
And we probably realistically would have been 39,000 or 38, because we always found that there were these little features that always came with cars, whether you wanted them or not. But when we realized that there were so few models available in this Equinox, especially in the blue, which was a requirement for us, just because we loved it so much, we started to expand. And then, it got up to 44,000 really quick with the LT2, and eliminated a lot of other cars.
One thing I will add, though, is that the 48,000 cap limit was before taxes and fees. So that was the sales price before taxes and fees. But still, it pretty much took out of the running the Ioniq 5 and the Honda Prologue for us, which were the other two we were really considering. But in the end, it ended up being, regardless of the price, the car we really did want the most. So it worked out well. But that was a little bit of a surprise for us to find the 48,000 cap partway through our whole process. So we're honestly amazed that, we really didn't think it would all work out in the end, and it did. And so that's why, we're just excited to share this story with you all.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Thanks, everybody.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, we can move on, I guess, to what's next. Okay. So we expect to be meeting at Thunderstruck Motors next time. I hope to bring the Equinox then, and we can look at it if you want. And if any other questions come up, we could do that. Stephen Pierce, with City Climate. This is he has a website that shows climate data. I think we've seen it recently, and it sounds pretty interesting. It's kind of a personal project, and we'll focus on the results first, Sonoma County. But
this is the dashboard Steve's been developing.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's what we expect. We hope he'll be here for the presentation next month, on December 13th, and that we expect that will be at Thunderstruck. So we'll be able to have donuts and coffee as well.
Steve started building the dashboard when I tried to do a spreadsheet to analyze the cost and the distribution. It had to do with, we couldn't figure out why we were using more electricity in 95472 over time, and using more gas as well, while we were getting more solar panels. 1 out of 3 homes has solar panels, and we had such a large number of EVs. And so he started putting the dashboard together to start answering that question, and it's grown over time.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive, and I think the overall goal is to really look at getting data for kind of monitoring climate change issues, and so very cool. All right, any other comments or questions that people have that they want to talk about before we close?
On that current slide, it says website, but we can't see what it actually links to. What is it? City Climate, or what's his website?
Yeah, I believe Cecilia just linked that. Is that the link, Cecilia?
Yes.
If you look in the chat, David.
In the chat.
No, I just
send out the email, David, with the presentation, and the link will be live on there.
Yeah, on the website it'll be live. Mm-hmm.
But it's also in the chat.
And
yeah.
Put it in the chat.
Right. It's the same. Okay.
Oh, go ahead.
No.
I have a separate question. While you were talking about pick and pull in Windsor, I was just kind of thinking a little bit about battery scrapping and whether dismantlers in our region are up to speed on, the options that they might have to, send a battery for reuse, to Redwood Materials or some other place. Like, does anyone have familiarity with that? I wonder if there's like some room for us to get in the middle of that and kind of, talk to dismantlers a little bit about best practices.
I personally think there's a lot of room for that. And one of the things that Lauren would be involved with at some point, the woman who was spoke at our last meeting, just the idea that dismantlers are forced to, they have these cars and they don't know what to do with them. In a sense, they don't know that they can get battery data from the car before they dismantle it. I think there's a lot of room for us to, if we wanted to get involved, but it seems like the real impact would be kind of on a more of a global scale with the powers that be behind the dismantlers.
And John, that's a really good point. Remember I showed the video of by using the ODB2 and looking at each individual battery cell. You could look at an EV that's being turned in and go, hey, this is what this pack looks like. This pack's worth X number of dollars because it's got these cells in it. So.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, a big, powerful sales device for the dismantlers and also for safety and everything.
Well, one way for us as a group to think about it would be that Lauren's efforts might, include kind of like a non-profit partnering program where it's like, certainly she can benefit from finding specific things that she wants to certify or resell or something like that. But to me, like, helping dismantlers understand what the value is of certain things or what the value is of not pulling it apart too much before they can look at it or things like that. I wonder if they'd be open to that or if we'd be, the best people to talk about it. I know that Lauren also was going to go to Alabama to a junkyard dealer convention of some sort.
Excellent. Right.
So maybe there's a follow-up that we could have with her about that too, because that would be more of a national industry opportunity.
That's a really good point. Because from her perspective, she wants to be the recipient of parts that have information about them, and if junkyards don't have that, then it's just not going to happen, so.
Yeah, I remember her saying that she would want to go in and take what she wanted out of a car without them being involved. And so, the initial communication might be like, set these certain types of EVs aside for me to deal with myself or something like that.
Right.
Yeah.
That's true. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd love to have a follow-up presentation from her even in a year or so and just see how things have changed over the next year, what she discovers and about batteries. Yeah, that'd be really cool.
Yeah.
I got a question related to all this. Other than an accident or crash or whatever you want to call it, what causes someone want to junk an electric car? I mean, I'm asking, if the battery goes down bad enough, is that what causes it? Or is it the electric motor? Do we have any data on why cars are being junked?
Yep. In my experience with Thunderstruck Motors, we have received a number of crashed electric vehicles both from junkyards and from dismantlers or people that purchase them, at auction. There are a number of them that are crashed, and it's a good question. I think that the greater deal is the car that is damaged without damage to the battery and totaled, which is really easy to do with modern cars. It's easy to total a car. In other words, it's not easy, but I mean, you don't have to do much damage to a car to have it totaled. So a totaled car goes to a junkyard and or is resold for parts, I guess. And
but John, I would best that is the batteries as well. We've spent now, every gas car I've had, I've rebuilt the engine in order to get the car to keep going. The airplane, the engine's rebuilt 3 times. Okay, fine. The battery runs down in my Leaf, I need to go find another battery pack.
Yeah.
Finding another battery pack has not become as common as one would find of rebuilding an engine. Part of that had to do with the fact that if you looked at an engine, my cousin was servicing Mercedes, and I had a Datsun, and he helped me one time with it. He said, "You've got the same parts in your Datsun as we have in the Mercedes, from the same manufacturers." And that's not happening with the battery so far, I think.
Yeah, good point.
It's just not as pervasive.
The other issue might just be the way insurance works, right? So if your car is declared totaled, you get to accept the value of that only if you sign over the car, and then that car, becomes part of the waste stream somehow, and so dismantlers probably just need to understand that they're sitting on some value that they might not have otherwise understood. I know I have like a $5,000 car out in the driveway, and it would only take like a small fender bender to exceed 5,000 in repairs the way, things are priced out. Labor is priced out mostly, right?
Yeah. But
also, a follow-up on that.
Oh,
and one more quick.
Oh, go ahead.
Has anyone here ever heard of an electric vehicle failing because of the motor?
Not me.
Never.
I mean, actually, I have, but they were very, very much older vehicles, maybe brushed motors, and some of the earlier AC motors that had magnets that would come off. Like Jerry, you may remember some of the old Smith trucks or something that had a rotor that had the magnets kind of glued to the to the rotor, and at a certain point they might come off. But really, Greg, I think you were asking, motors are the kind of things that have so few moving parts and no friction, no heat, no real heat related issues for most cases. So it's a kind of a lifetime product in many ways.
Yeah, the kind of funny thing was I had the annual done on the plane yesterday, and I was thinking about replacing the starter motor, which was installed in 1951. And the motor's still running just fine, so the brushes haven't worn down yet. And we put 1 million miles on the buses and trucks, and in 1 million miles, nobody ever brought a motor back.
Mm-hmm. And I just wanted to add to that John and I, in our truck conversion, we call Val, that's a Toyota pickup. We have a Nissan Leaf motor and controller unit. And so do you know what year the Nissan Leaf that is that the motor's from?
I think it was a 2013 or 14.
2013. So anyway, the cool thing is, like, we're talking about batteries having a second life. Motors can also kind of have a second life too, in conversions, and they can, be very long lasting, like John and Jerry are saying. So,
right. And the amazing thing, comparing that Leaf motor to a gasoline engine, we can purchase one from a junkyard or any place for about $1,000 for the entire motor, controller, and drivetrain, which means all of the running, moving parts and gears that go out to the wheels. So that's awesome that you can spend $1,000 and get that kind of thing. Of course, it takes a lot of work to communicate with that. You have to buy a device that talks to the controller from the throttle pedal, so it's, but your question is really good. These motors are sitting and not being used, and they would last for a very long time.
I'll do.
You have a heater in your house which runs a lot, like for 20 years, and the motor doesn't go bad. I have electronics go bad, but
I will just say one thing to the counter. Jerry, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Finally, I can hear you.
I did have one motor have an issue. It was replaced under warranty, but it never got to the point of failure. So I don't know how long it would continue to work, but yeah. So that's just that one more data point.
Okay, one data point. We have that.
Okay.
Good.
I want to raise the battery thing, though, that of course, Jerry, you haven't wanted to talk about, promising companies. I mean, with QuantumScape, the IPO was the high point, and they haven't never gotten back, right? But I put $700 in this Canadian company, Li-Cycle, and they've gone bankrupt. They were building in the U.S. To recycle lithium out of batteries, and they're gone. So, but I still think there's opportunities in the battery side for investment. And who's going to shake out there? I haven't done research, but I did buy some quantum stock in the last year, Jerry. Again,
I still own a couple thousand shares of QuantumScape, and it tripled in value in the last 6 months. So they're going close. By 2026, they'll be in production. They're in prototype production at this point, so all the manufacturers can be testing with that. But actually, one of the questions as to whether that's a viable stock has to do with lithium and the fact that other chemistries are showing up now where the problems are being solved. And in fact, one I read about recently was a very interesting one, and I forgot what the chemistry was, but it was, if the battery starts to wear out, what they tell you to do is fast charge it 3 or 4 times, and it will restructure the anode as a result of fast charging it. So it's a brand new battery again. Those are very interesting things, and there's research being done today that will be alternative batteries. The Tesla, one of the news things was the Tesla Model 2, when it comes out, they're going to offer you 3 different battery chemistries depending on what your driving is.
What, aluminum, sodium, and lithium, right?
Actually, one is solid state, one is lithium, and actually the other one is LFP. So they're both lithium.
Okay.
They don't have the sodium yet. But you saw the announcement on the sodium batteries looking like they're getting really close to lithium. And the price on sodium, once it gets to production, is going to be really, really low.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's one thing that just really excites me about the electric vehicle industry is just that it seems to be a technologically open book. The future we really don't know, and I'm a believer that at some point, if we survive other things in this world, that we'll have technologies that kind of come together to make these batteries, kind of like what you were saying about a battery that heals itself, that kind of.
So the one thing that I'm going to do a forecast. The next generation that you see in production vehicles will be hybrid batteries.
Hybrid, what does that mean? Oh, 2 chemistries.
Yeah, and you have one bank for large capacity and one smaller bank for high power. And one will charge the other. It'll work the same way as your your Toyota Prius used to work, except instead of using a motor, an engine to go ahead and charge up the batteries, it's going to use a battery pack to charge up the batteries.
You mean like to eliminate the 12-volt battery? Is that what you're saying?
No, it's going to be a 700 volt battery pack with another 700 volt battery pack, but 2 different chemistries. One would be a low cost chemistry, and one is a high cost chemistry.
Very cool.
Yeah, I thought I'd read about a car that was going to use that. I think if they get really good, then we'll start seeing planned obsolescence in them. You can always count on planned obsolescence.
Maybe we'll learn from Europe. I think aren't there some planned obsolescence rules in Europe coming out about electric things? I mean, like Renault is there's some new technology they're using for batteries that's supposed to be kind of anti-planned obsolescence.
Well, Europe's been way ahead of us of requiring recycling. The plastic in a car has to be recycled. You can't just let it sit in a junkyard.
Yeah. Well, okay. I was going to say we're at the end of our time. If there are any other questions, you can stick around, I guess. But
very good.
Everybody good?
Thanks, Cecilia. Send me a note when the video is ready, and I'll send out the email message.
Okay, so yeah, this the whole thing will be on video, and thank you, Cecilia, for handling that and for handling the background on this whole meeting. I appreciate it very much. And
Yeah.
and Jerry, thank you for sending everything out as you do. And,
All right.
all right.
Have a good month.
Until next
guys.
time.
Great.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone.
Next time in
Bye.
person.
In
Yeah.
person.
Okay.
Bye.